out of nowhere, I start suddenly feeling a huge rush of energy coming in my body from bottom to the top, like, a spiral effect. And once it reaches my heart, then my hand open, and then my hands start moving in very uncontrollable way. It's like I felt such a rush energy in my body, like you plugged me in and you put the electricity on. It was electric. It was not obvious to me that breathwork was the key part of my awakening. People cannot really comprehend that such a simple thing as our breath can really be so powerful and mystical.
Smaragda, welcome to the Ascended Lightworkers. It's great to have you here. How are you doing today?
I love your energy. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. Smaragda, you are a holosomatic breathwork therapist, a transformational coach and a healer. And you left a successful corporate career in order to pursue this professionally and help people in a way that is more aligned with who you are. So tell us about your life before becoming a breathwork therapist and a healer and a coach. And what was this first moment when you thought, oh, maybe I want to walk a different path?
Great question. And it seems already a completely different life, to be honest. Yes, I come from a completely different background. I worked for several years in the corporate world in a big multinational company in HR. And I wanted to say that even though I had everything on the outside, like a good career, a beautiful and good salary, a beautiful house, and a loving relationship, there was a feeling of emptiness and a lack of purpose. So, and I want to emphasize on that because there's so many people that they think that if I have everything on the outside, when I have the salary, when I have the job, when I have the loving relationship, then I will be happy. So I had all this and something was still missing, and that made me want to go a little bit deeper and a little bit beyond. And it was a journey. It was not something that happened from one day to another. It is never like that. It required a lot of work, inner work, but also many life events happened. So those two things together brought me where I am today.
So how did this transition phase look, and what did it happen, and what did you do?
Yes, so as I said at the beginning, it was this sense of something was missing, this deep sense of something was missing. But I also had a job I didn't like at all. Actually, my second job, I hated it, right? And at that time, that was super bad and difficult to handle, but now I see it as a gift. It's more difficult to leave something that it's okay, you like it a bit, but it's much easier to leave something that you hate. And but I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know who I was, and that was the big question mark. Okay, who was I? What do I want to do in life? And they say when you don't know what to pursue yourself. And this is exactly what I started doing. It was also COVID back at that time. So I really started working on myself holistically, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. I started exercising. I never exercised before. I started waking up, 5 o'clock in the morning, going for a run, meditating, journaling, all the things I never did before. And that started creating some space, for my true self to emerge. So when we don't know who we are, it's good that at least we start unlearning who we are not. So meditation helped me a lot, right? So meditation really helps you to create more space in order to find who you are. So it was also... at that moment, I remember I read somewhere about the concept of Ikigai at the same time, which was, I don't know if you're familiar, but Ikigai is finding what you love doing, finding what you're good at, what people need, and you can be paid for. And this is your purpose. And once you find that, you live a happy and fulfilling life. And that was exactly what I needed back then, because I was miserable with my work, waking up every day in the morning, hating your job, counting down for the weekend to come. If you have any energy left, then you need to find who you are and do things that you like after work. And long story short, watching your life passing in front of your eyes until waiting for your retirement. Even saying that now out loud, it causes me a lot of stress. And I felt that at that moment, and I said, Smaragda, you need to find what you love, so you don't need to ever work again in your life. So then I had a goal. I didn't know what I liked, but I had to find what I liked, because then I felt I would be free. So I had also an existential crisis back then. Everything came together. And I remember I had this deep need for freedom. It was freedom I was looking for, because I felt trapped, And I remember having vivid dreams about being student again and having this sense of freedom and carelessness, that, you are free. So I just wanted to be free again. So I thought, if I find what I love doing, I will be free. And, I felt also very lonely back then, because I don't remember other people, in my age or friends having the same existential crisis. For me, that did not make sense. And that came from my heart, not from my mind. It was very, very deep. And everyone around me was okay with that. And I feel we are so programmed to do things that we don't like and feel this is normal. And allow me to say, it is not normal to do something you hate, Our job is almost 3/4 of our lives we'll spend working. So all those things together, while continuously working on myself, it was, I think, the cherry on the top. At some point, I already had my initiation with my existential crisis and my determination to find freedom. I had one day while I was meditating, I had a profound awakening experience, a Kundalini Awakening experience. And of course, that was something that made me see the world with completely different eyes. After that, you cannot go back to business as usual. You cannot pretend you don't know anymore. You cannot pretend you don't see what you saw and to what you felt. So I had, a huge rush of energy in my body. It was crazy. And then I had to find answers. What was that? Where did that come from? Who am I? Why do I have all these gifts came to me, and how can I use them? So all those things together, COVID, working on yourself, existential crisis, the awakening moment, boom, everything led to be where I am today.
I'm really curious about this Kundalini Awakening. Can you tell us a little bit more about this experience? Like, how did you experience it in your body or in your mind, or how was your experience?
Yeah, the first time that happened, it was a Wednesday morning before going to work, right? I was on my couch having my daily meditation practice that was combined with a very intense and very powerful breathing technique. And out of nowhere, I start suddenly feeling a huge rush of energy coming in my body from bottom to the top, like, a spiral effect. And once it reaches my heart, then my hand open, and then my hands start moving in very uncontrollable way. It's like I felt such a rush energy in my body, like you plugged me in and you put the electricity on. It was like it was electric, And I was scared, Of course I was. I didn't know where that came from or what it was. And my immediate reaction was to block it and shut it down. I even opened my eyes to see what was happening. I could see my hands moving in my body. In my heart, I thought, oh my God, I would die. My heart was about to explode. I said, Smaragda, this is the end. And I tried to block it immediately. And one thing I only knew, I didn't know, I don't know. It's like when you have such an experience, you just know, you know. It was a Kundalini Awakening. I had no idea what was a Kundalini Awakening, but I knew that moment I had the Kundalini Awakening. So I blocked it immediately, and I went back to work, and my body, I could still feel the energy in my body. I couldn't even sleep that night because my body was still, you know, a lot of energy, and I was Googling and searching Kundalini Awakening, and I found everywhere dangerous, 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 and that made me be even more scared because the mind is always afraid of the unknown. That was something unknown happened to me. And I think that at that day I made the most important decision in my life, that I said, Smaragda, let's be logical here. That came from within while you meditated. I didn't do anything to push it or to cause it. There's so many people who do exercises to awaken their Kundalini. I didn't do any of that, so it came very naturally to me. And I said, you are going to sit and meditate again, and you're going to surrender to whatever that is. And so next day I did not meditate. I was afraid. But the day after I said, I'm going to do it again. And if that comes, you're going to surrender. So I sit again, I meditate again, and I have the same feeling coming from the bottom to you know, to the top. So it's coming again. So I feel it again coming like a spiral, and I feel the energy in my entire body. And again, once it touches my heart, my hands are widely open. They start moving like crazy, and then the energy continues up to my brain, and I feel the energy in every cell of my body. My body is like fully activated, you know, and super electric. And I open my eyes to see what is happening, and I see my body like moving in an uncontrollable way. And of course I try to resist at that moment. So it's like there is a fight. I try to resist, and it fights back. And then I said, no, Smaragda, you said you're going to surrender. And the more I surrender to it, my hands start doing very delicate moves, very specific moves. And they go to very specific places of my body. And then I know again that they are doing healing on me. And I start crying and deeply crying. And I even know what kind of traumas I am healing from. And I had no idea what is healing. I don't know how healing works or anything. I just know that now I'm healing, and I cry so deeply. And my hands, you know, it was, yes, I'm crying so deeply, and I know that I'm healing from traumas that they happened to me, from traumas that didn't happen to me. You have all this knowing. And the more I surrender, and then I start crying, my hands doing very specific moves, and then I start crying before I feel such love and connection with everything around me. And yes, an amazing feeling that I will never forget. And I come out of this room, and that was not for 5 or 10 minutes, it was for an hour. And I come out of this room like newborn, reborn, a new person. Yes.
It was a proper initiation, I would say, a proper spiritual awakening experience.
Yeah.
So what happens afterwards? How do you go from there? Then you have to go to your day job. But like, how does it go from this experience to actually deciding to change your whole life, basically, afterwards?
I think after such an experience, you don't have any other option. Instant changes happen into your life. I couldn't go to work. I mean, I had to. I still worked at that job. But, you know, everything happens for a reason, and everything happens in divine timing. I lost my job back then, which everything now like sounds very romantic, that everything happens perfectly. It was very tough. I lost my job twice. I was unemployed. I had an awakening to survive and, you know, to see what was happening in my life. A huge existential crisis after that. my mom was also diagnosed with cancer. So I felt I lived 10 years in two. I had to survive. I had a burnout after that, an existential burnout. So it was the toughest thing in my life because the old self has completely died. Your new self is not fully formed yet, and you are just hanging in the middle, in the unknown, actually. You are just hanging there, waiting for things to happen, waiting for an answer. And I remember people asking me, why you are not applying for a job? For me, it was not an option. So I said, Smaragda, you just need to find who you are. The answer I was looking for 1 or 2 years ago, now I had to answer it because I had no other option. I had to find income as well. So after an awakening, the deep healing starts. People think sometimes awakening is only blissful moments, and after that you are continuously happy. But navigating an awakening is very tough. It was very lonely. The healing journey really starts because an awakening is actually the realization that you are the creator. You know exactly what happened in your life for what reason, and there are no excuses anymore. So if you want to have the life you want, you just need to create it. And it was a very long journey. It didn't happen from one day to another. People think I had an awakening experience through breathwork, so I found breathwork and I became a breathwork facilitator. Not at all. It took me many months to realize it was the breath triggered that experience, because the mind cannot really comprehend that such a simple act as our breath can be so powerful. So it took me almost 10 months. I started traveling the world. I went to all kinds of retreats in every corner of the world. I needed answers. I was obsessed. I wanted to talk only about those things, and it was very lonely. I was so lonely. I only had 3 people in my life that they knew exactly what happened, and I could speak to them about it and to tell them that my hands are moving, or I felt that we are oneness and connected and we are divine and multidimensional beings, and talking with this language that no one understands and you don't understand. So it was very tough. It took many months, and when I realized it was breath all along, then I decided to learn everything about the power of breath and give it and share it with the world. But it was more than 10 months, almost a year, that journey.
And more people have this kind of experiences of having a spiritual awakening, of having a Kundalini awakening. And I think it happens to people of more even younger in age, so younger and younger. So after having this experience, what would be how someone can survive an awakening, or how someone can handle this period?
Yeah, beautiful question. I think we live in amazing times that we experience a huge shift in our consciousness, and you can see more and more people awakening, especially young people. We live in the age of Aquarius. And for me also was very surprising that after that, when I felt the need to connect with people having similar experiences, that I met mostly people in my age, and that was very surprising. And for me, I will tell you from my personal experience, I felt the need to connect with people. So community really helps, sharing these stories, because we are afraid to share the stories. For me, this is the first time I share my story publicly, and I'm very happy to do that, because I know so many people out there having these experiences and they are afraid to share. They are alone, and having to deal with something like that and being alone, it makes it even more difficult. For me, it was a podcast that I had and really helped me. Honestly, every episode of this podcast spoke to my heart, and I felt, oh my God, there are more people out there having the same experiences and same feelings afterwards, and everything started making sense. So I would really encourage people to start sharing these stories, because now it's the time. And really connect, because there are many people out there. And once you connect, magic happens, Once you build your community, magic happens. And then we can all bring our light to the world.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with this. Even from my own experience, I think community was a number one factor, not only of having a good, like experience, but I think it also triggered it for me. Like the part of finding like-minded people who were into these things.
And you're
Um,
doing exactly that. So thank you for doing it.
yeah, my pleasure. I think it's indeed, as you say, it's nice to find people who have these experiences, who and also do something about it. So they say, okay, now I know. As you said, there is no going back. If you know, you know, and then you have to figure out the moving forward and how you move in your life in a way that it's like fully aligned. So indeed, it's nice to bring the stories up because I think it happens. So through your journey, you've been inspired by like leaders and teachers such as Joe Dispenza, Gabor Maté, and Tony Robbins. What specific teachings or practices from them were the most impactful during your transition and your experience?
Yeah, I would say mainly from Dr. Joe Dispenza and Gabor Maté. I had my awakening experience through the meditations of Dr. Joe, and while I have been doing his work for so many years. So I think the most important teaching I have from Dr. Joe is start feeling comfortable in the unknown, because nothing new can happen in your life from the known, from planning, from trying to predict, from our need to control. And all magical things happen when you step into the unknown. And also I know from my clients, this is the number one reason people come to me, because they really have the need to control, because they are afraid of the unknown. But what if we embraced life like an adventure, that everything is going to be in the unknown and we just need to enjoy and surrender to life? So for me, surrendering and feeling comfortable in the unknown was exactly what really brought me to this experience. And my life, the last years, have been always in the unknown. If I remember now, the last 5-6 years in my life, changes, one change after the other. So you cannot really control anything. That's an illusion, that comes from fear. The last 5 years of my life were completely in the unknown. And at the beginning, I resisted a lot, and that makes it very difficult. So they say it's not the change that is difficult, it's the resistance to change. So once you learn to surrender, that something I also learned from breathwork, then also magic happens. And then with Gabor, it was the healing part. So once I had this experience, it was very clear for me what's my purpose here. And healing is something I wanted to really understand, why people behave the way they do, what happens in them, because we are all traumatized deeply. And this is a taboo word. People feel that trauma is something huge that happened to you, but no, it's something simple as our needs were not met as children, and so we are all traumatized. So embracing those two concepts together, the trauma and how we can heal, and how the somatic part of it, how trauma is stored in the body, how we can release trauma, how we can heal, and also how we can step into the unknown and having these beautiful experiences together, brought me exactly where I am today.
All right. So I want to bring you now to a different topic. Actually, it links with the thing that we were discussing before and your experience, because I think like a lot of people go through an experience like yours, especially the feeling that someone has who works in a corporate career, they have their job, they have achieved a certain level of success, but still they feel that something is missing deep inside. They have this feeling that is not aligned with them. So they start asking questions, and they start like searching for something more. Can you identify like maybe what is the main reasons or deepened causes behind this feeling?
Thanks for asking that, because actually most of the people come to me either for coaching or for breathwork, their number one topic is career change. And it may sound simple and easy at the beginning. I want to change a job, but I think also how it happened to me, to just change a position and find something you love, you also need to answer questions like, who am I? What do I love doing? What makes me happy? What is my purpose in this life? So people want to bypass all those steps and just go directly to finding a job. But honestly, I tell them this is not a quick fix. If you want to truly find something that you love doing, you really need to start your healing journey. You really need to answer those questions. And that will take time, months, even years. And some people never actually manage to answer those questions, right? So I think people come to me, the main reasons I see why people come to me is, as we said, this bigger sense that something is missing, something is the deep sense of lack of purpose and meaning in lives, especially also in our age. At the beginning we worked, so we made our ego happy, we gave it a salary and roles, but now we want something deeper. And actually I'm very happy that I see people coming to me and they are willing to start this journey. Start asking those questions, I think for me is the most important thing. So people come for that reason. Another reason I see people want to change is that there is a mismatch between our talents and our gifts with the roles. Which means that we are in positions and we don't really use our talents and our gifts. And when that happens, we also feel the need, our confidence level goes down because we don't feel good. And of course, you are not good in something that you don't like. We cannot really judge a fish by its ability to climb a mountain. It's stupid, right? So that happened in my second job. I hated. There was not even one part of me that I was the true Smaragda, and that made me miserable and unhappy. And we really need to take the time and finding our talents and gifts, because I see that in the market. I also worked in HR. There is a huge mismatch between the talents and the roles. And and of course there are also the external reasons, like financial reasons, societal expectations and family pressures. But I would put that as the last one. But I am happy to see that more and more people are really willing to go deeper and find something they love doing and find their purpose.
So for someone who wants to go through this journey, like, how does it look exactly? Like, what happens during those months, or what kind of transformations or realizations or healing someone should go through in order to figure out who they are, what they're good at, what their life purpose is?
First, I think it needs to start with acceptance that it's not something that will happen overnight. Okay, so because people come to me and they want to change the position, they want to find who they are tomorrow. It's not like that. So it starts with acceptance. It's going to take time, and the willingness to try is also for me very important. So that they are really willing to go and start that journey, because that journey can be tough and can be lonely and can be difficult, but it's so worth it. So I encourage everyone to start this journey. Ask for help. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Find people out there who have really succeed in what you want to do. I think this is something I always did in my life. I didn't want to spend a lot of time reinventing the wheel. I always found the people who have done already what I want to do in my life, and I went directly to them. So don't ask for advice for people who have not achieved what you want, because they cannot offer it to you. So don't waste time and energy to figure it out alone. Don't go to the wrong people. Go directly to the right people. That's one. Second, be willing to start this journey, knowing that it's going to be very long, and that's okay. And start really working with yourself, as I said back. when you don't know what to pursue yourself. So start loving yourself more, prioritizing self-care, showing up for yourself every day. Start meditating, start exercising, start eating healthy. Start from the physical, let's say, more aspect of our lives and go beyond. Start sitting with your emotions and feelings. Give them the space to feel and express themselves, and even go then be more beyond to the spiritual aspect of ourselves. As I said, start meditating, doing breath work, do things, we cannot pretend that we don't have all those aspects and we have only the physical. We have the physical, we have the emotional, we have the mental, we have the spiritual. If you want to be happy, you really need to take care of all those aspects of yourself.
Last month you invited me to your beautiful home in Utrecht and facilitated a breathwork session for me. And let's watch now some moments from that session.
Welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm very good, excited.
Excited? So what is breath work? It's the most powerful, direct and best way to connect with your body and to connect with your emotions. It is also, for me, one of the best ways to release the past, release emotional blockages, release traumas from the past. And then breath work is a magical way to enter altered states of consciousness. Breathwork is a beautiful journey also to learn how to surrender and trust, not only in the process and in breathwork, but in life in general. We start on a sitting position. We are gonna do conscious connected breathwork. And a beautiful principle about the breathwork is when we inhale, we invite whatever we want in our lives. So with every breath in, you experience that feeling. With every exhale, you release what is no longer serving you. So it can be that you can start feeling tension in your body or have negative thoughts about your vision. You release them with your exhale. With every exhale, you feel your body relaxing more and more. Feel your belly expanding. Finding your own pace. You don't need to hurry about anything. There is nowhere to go. Just be here with your breath. Think of your intention for today. Commit to your breath. Commit to your life. Commit to your dreams and keep breathing. Slowly come back into your body. You can start moving your hands and your legs and stretching your body.
So breathwork was a key part of your awakening. For those new to it, what exactly is holosomatic breathwork, and how does it differ from maybe other forms of breathwork?
Okay. I would like maybe to say at the beginning, so it was not obvious to me that breathwork was the key part to my awakening. Again, it took me so many months to realize it was the breath all along, and I want to emphasize on that because when people say I'm super passionate about talking about the power of breath, right? And I say my motto is, with breath you can heal, you can transform, you can awaken, because that is exactly what happened to me. And people are looking like me like a crazy person. People cannot really comprehend that such a simple thing as our breath can really be so powerful and mystical. So, yes, so I managed to find breathwork, luckily, and with breathwork, again, what I like in holosomatic breathwork and the difference with other practices is that there are so many different practices out there and people are very confused, but the essence is one, to start breathing consciously. Okay, so we breathe 1,000 of times on a daily basis on autopilot, and we do it unconsciously. Magic happens when we start breathing consciously. What I love in this practice is exactly what we spoke before about Dr. Joe Dispenza and Gabor Maté come together for me, and it brings my purpose together, which is bringing healing and awakening to the world. That is exactly bringing healing and awakening. So there are practices out there that they either focus on the healing part, like rebirthing, breath work, or in reaching altered states of consciousness, like holotropic, or soma breath, or Wim Hof breath, But in holosomatic, we bring together both the healing part, start really on a physical level, connecting with our bodies and emotions. So it's not only about awakening and having these mystical and transcendental experiences, right? So breathwork is not only about that. It's really connecting to yourself, connecting to your body, connecting to your emotion. And when it comes to healing, trauma is stored in the body. It's not stored in the mind. So we really need to let our body to express and release. And then, of course, with rhythmic breathing patterns that we bring, we can also reach altered states of consciousness and having these beautiful mystical and spiritual experiences. So it brings both together, and I customize my sessions based on the needs of the of the person. So do we really need to focus more on the healing part, where we can offer like inner child sessions, trauma release and emotional release sessions, or you want to focus more on having more mystical and spiritual experiences?
Can you tell us briefly how a breathwork session looks like?
So as I said before, we start with connecting to our body. So we start with specific breathing techniques that help us really ground and connect with our body, activating the body. So what actually we do in most of the breathwork types is conscious connected breath. So we start breathing in a rhythmic way, in a connected way, which means we don't make pauses in between the inhalation and the exhalation. This is how we activate the body. That's why many people most of them, we have a lot of physical sensations during a breathwork session. It's very physical. You can have tingling sensations, numbness in your head. You can feel lightheadedness, and you can get high by breath alone, which I find amazing. You don't need to get anything or drink any alcohol. So it starts on a physical level, right? But then with breathwork, we work with the subconscious mind. So if you keep breathing for a longer period of time, we have the ability to bypass the analytical mind and transcend the ego mind and go directly to the subconscious, where everything is stored. Our subconscious mind is the black box, right? All trauma is there, all emotional wounds are there from this life, other life, and all the limiting beliefs, everything is there. If you want to change your life, you really need to work with the subconscious mind. And this is where some emotions arise during the session, and you can see people cry or scream, and this is absolutely true, because people have come to me and asked me, hey Smaragda, is that true? Or they make it like, is it fake for Instagram and TikTok? It's absolutely true. I have cried, I have yelled in a session, and then it goes beyond. So we start on a physical level, we go deeper on an emotional level, we connect with our true selves, and then inevitably, if you continue working with your breath, it will guide you to, as I said, altered states of consciousness and beautiful experiences that you cannot really explain with your mind. People who have out of the body experiences, people who have remembered their birth, right? People that had visions and mystical experiences that they come, from nowhere. Because we are connected in that space. Everything is connected in that space. So this is how it can look like. And in terms of more like the logistics, there are 3 phases that I have in my session. We start as I said, activating the body, and then we move to more powerful breathing techniques that will help you to go deeper, and in the end you relax and surrender to the unknown, and you allow to receive all this beautiful information and insights.
So how breathwork can transform someone's life? Can you give us an example maybe from someone that you have worked with?
How breathwork can transform you? I would say two things that breathwork taught me is how to surrender, because in a breathwork session you are thrown away to the unknown. You don't know what is coming, and as I said, we work with the subconscious mind, so it can be that so many emotions or memories or strange things come to you, and actually many people don't know how to interpret sometimes those insights. So you are given a lot of information. Breathwork gives you a lot of valuable and powerful information, and I have seen many people underestimate those insights. Whatever breathwork gives you and brings you is very important, and our breath will always give us what we need at that moment. Okay, so it can be that you are coming to me because you want to have these beautiful mystical experiences, but then something else is coming up, our breath will always give us what we are ready for. So that's a good one. And we receive a lot of information and insight, so it's good that we keep this information, because I have seen people that they come and they share something that they experienced, and then they don't really pay attention to that, and that's so pity. It's like you're throwing away the valuable information that your breath gave you. So I would emphasize on that. Pay attention to what came to you during the session, regardless of what you wanted. Okay? Surrender, surrender, surrender. People cannot really... I also have people who don't feel much during session, and it's because they don't let themselves to feel much. So if you have numbed your feelings for so many years, don't expect that the breathwork session will immediately unlock all your emotions and senses. So those people who don't feel much in their daily lives, they feel very numbed in a breathwork session. The body has completely numbed. So it's good that you speak with your facilitator afterwards what you experienced, so you can translate the insights you gave. That will also give you and will lead you to transformation, because if you are new to breathwork and you don't know how to interpret those insights, you cannot really use them, I would say. And what I have seen also, so those are the people who are missing the information, and it's pity, but there are people who know exactly how to use the information, and I have seen lives transforming even in a session. If you allow yourself to feel, and if you surrender, this is the key to breathwork, because breathwork is all about the unknown. If you surrender and you release the need for control in your body and in your emotions, and you do whatever the body tells you to do at that moment, then magic can happen. I had people telling me that, Smaragda, I know exactly what happened. I went in that moment where really caused me huge trauma for so many years in my life, and I went back in that moment, and with the wisdom and the knowledge I have now in my life, I was able to deal with that problem and with that trauma, and now I don't have it anymore in my life. In a session, can you imagine healing a deep wound and trauma in a session and feel lighter because it's not in your system anymore? That's amazing. I had people coming to me and crying because they had such profound experiences and healing experiences, and also releasing tension from the body, coming with chronic pain, and then telling me, I don't have the pain anymore. That's amazing. So I have seen a lot of transformation, of course, in myself, but also in others. But you need to be able to really surrender in the process and trust in the process.
So people who get like these insights, right? So they might get insights, inner guidance, inspiration. How people can integrate that in this wisdom in their life in order to make the most out of this experience and achieve real permanent change.
Yeah. As I said before, I have seen people really neglecting this super valuable information they receive. They come and they go, or they wanted to experience something else and experience something else, so they leave it out and that's very, very pity. So what we do in a breathwork session is that we always give time to people afterwards to write down what they experienced, and that's very powerful, because from out there we're bringing it here, to this realm, to this world, and we put words there, so we make it more accessible to our mind, because our mind cannot explain what happens in that space. I have people coming, and sometimes I speak with these words and people think breathwork is a very spiritual practice. It's not a spiritual practice when you connect with your body, right? When you connect with your emotions and your sensations in your body. It's something very tangible and very practical. That's why I feel breathwork is for all tastes and for all people, regardless where they're coming from or regardless what they believe in. I don't care what you believe in. So it's very important writing down what happens in that space and what comes to you. First of all, because it comes from the subconscious, so it can feel like a dream. It can be that you forget it afterward, and you write it down and you spend some time in silence. Also, the integration takes some time. We say we never finish a breathwork session at the end of the session. It can be that you need some time or some days even to realize what happened, and it can take also some time to connect the dots. After many days, it can come to you like, that's why I saw that. That's why I felt that. So write it down so you don't forget. Always visit it in the next day. And sit in silence and reflect what happened during that breathwork session. Also, I would say share your story with other people, because sharing is also very helpful, as we said also with the awakening experience and the connecting to the people. Sharing your story with somebody who had maybe a similar experience, or with your facilitator or with other participants, because I have seen people in a group session, they all had similar experiences, because we are all so connected, So it can be that they had a similar experience. So then talk, why did that happen? So sharing and also seeking for help and discuss about it with your facilitator, I would say, yes, those things. And maybe when the last one, sorry for that, translate those insights into actions. Exactly, it's exactly what you asked. So try to understand what happened in a session and don't just leave it there in the space. Translate it into an action. So if something related to forgiveness came to your session, write down an action that you can do during the week related to forgiveness. Forgiving a person, forgiving yourself, letting go of something that you're holding onto very much. So translate the insight into actions is also very, very important.
Yeah, I agree fully with you that in order, I think, permanent change, it's important after this kind of experiences that they're so intense in the body, in the mind, you can get insights, etc. Then you need to really make the translation into, okay, what does it mean about my actual real life, because something has to change. And it might be, like a different action, maybe a different reaction to something that happens, a different behavior. But then indeed, like making these actual changes in our real life is what's gonna make this like a breathwork session, or when people work with themselves, actually bring results, let's say, and see the changes and the benefits in their life. So how would you compare breathwork to traditional talk therapy? Because they're both in the healing area, etc. But what would be the differences between those two?
Let me start by saying that people are coming to me. They come to me after having done for so many years therapy, and at some point they feel stuck. And I don't want to say anything here. I love therapy. I've done therapy myself. I'm doing still, but at some point you get stuck because you are so in your mind, talking so much about, and you're so in your mind, firstly, and it keeps you in the past. You cannot achieve change in your life when you are really locked in the past. So most people come to me and they say, Smaragda, I've been doing all this, and I'm really stuck in my life, and I really want to create change, and I know already my problems and my traumas, but I cannot really change. There are 3 reasons for that, I would say. With breathwork, we have faster results. Not that faster is always the best, but inevitably you have faster results because you work with the body. So we have immediate changes on the physiology, instant changes on the relaxation. Almost everyone after a breathwork session feels at least a bit more relaxed, so it feels better than they came. They feel better than they came. And in therapy, I have seen that it takes months or even years, for really great results to emerge. So we have this difference in how fast we get results. And also breathwork is a great way to heal trauma in a safe way. As we said so many times, trauma is stored in the body. We cannot neglect the body from this journey. Trauma and emotional wounds are not stored in the mind, and we have seen in talking therapy especially that we engage a lot the cognitive part. And let me share here that the cognitive mind is only the 5% of who we are. Going back to the subconscious mind that connects everything if we want to achieve change, 95% of who we are is coming from the subconscious mind. So who we are, how we think, how we feel, how we act. You cannot achieve change in your life, I want to say that out loud so many times, if you don't engage your subconscious mind. So with breathwork, we go immediately to the subconscious mind, working with that information, with that valuable information, and we are able to, again, activate the body, bringing all these emotions in a safe way, again, if that happens with a facilitator, and being able to release them. Okay. So we also, this is how we heal. Okay. And the last reason I would say that makes a big difference is that with breathwork, we have the ability to really self-regulate. We impact directly the autonomic nervous system. And we encourage people to be independent and be able to self-regulate themselves from stresses, anxieties, negative emotions and thoughts. And I have seen in traditional talking therapy so many people being dependent on their therapists. Those, I would say, are the 3 main differences. And I love, again, therapy, but I think now we live in ages that we need to expand a bit this approach. I love, for example, body psychotherapy because it includes the body. I love transpersonal psychotherapy because it integrates our spiritual aspect. Carl Jung was the father of transpersonal. Everybody keeps talking about therapy and that they don't believe in all the other stuff, but Carl Jung was such a spiritual guy. People don't really understand what he meant behind the words. So I think we really need to expand a little bit this kind of therapy in our days.
You said that breath is the getaway to mystical experiences. Can you tell us more about it? Like, what do you mean exactly?
Yes. So, as I love saying, I think one of my mottos, people who know me, they are tired of listening to that, is when we start breathing intentionally, magic happens, another world opens, right? Because again, when we breathe in our daily lives, we do it unconsciously. But when we breathe consciously, we bring our focus to the present moment. And the present moment is the gateway to the mystical. The present moment is the unknown. You don't know what to expect if you're fully into the present moment. So people get stuck. What happens in life? People either they suffer from depression because they get stuck in the past, or they suffer from anxiety because they keep living in the future. But you can only create when you're in the present moment. So that's one way. Breath brings you to the present moment. Another way is that to really understand how powerful breath is that the breath is a, how can I say that? It's a manifestation of our consciousness itself, is the life force energy, is the feminine energy, which is all about creation and surrendering and connection and contribution. If I want to give a more scientific explanation about that, I would say with our breath work, we can reach altered states of consciousness. Again, with specific rhythmic breathing patterns, we can impact brainwave activity and go from high beta and beta, which is the conscious part of us, all the way to theta, which is the subconscious, and even gamma. Gamma is the doorway to mystical again. So we know, we have seen from brainwave scans that when people reach to gamma states and gamma brainwave activity, we know they are going to have a mystical experience, and you can have that with your breath. So many different explanations, more spiritual, more scientific, more holistic, that breath is really the gateway to the mystical. And it's not something new. People think that breath work is something new age spirituality, but so many ancient communities, all the way from back to yoga traditions and shamanic people combining with the music of the drums, they went to transcendental states. So it's something ancient, but now we have given it more styles, more types, and different names.
I think when you start experiencing different things or different modalities, or you get into this world, you realize that, okay, everybody maybe describes it in a different terms, etc. But I think in the end, everyone talks about the same thing. So I want to ask some closing questions that I ask all the guests. What is your mission?
My mission is to bring more healing and awakening to the world, and really empower people to shift from this victim's consciousness that we are stuck there, to really the creator's consciousness, that we can create the life we want. And we live in extraordinary times, that we have all this wisdom and all this knowledge that we can create the life we want, And in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. So please go out there and search for these tools and these practices that they really resonate with you, but do something, because we can create the life we want.
If you could inspire our audience to adopt one new belief or habit today that would radically improve their lives, what would it be?
Belief. I would say with the belief, I would say don't believe your beliefs, or believe. My motto is believe in everything and believe in nothing. So question your own beliefs, because beliefs are very powerful. So your beliefs shape your reality. So have this belief, because it's a universal law. Our beliefs shape our reality. So embrace that belief, I would say. If I would tell them to do one thing, I would tell them two. Can I say two? It would be meditation. Start meditating right now, and of course, start breathing consciously, bringing meditation and breathwork together, boom, combines feminine and masculine together. So start meditating. You will never regret it. It can be tough at the beginning, it can be boring, it can be uncomfortable, but nothing bad can happen out of meditation. And start also breathing consciously.
Our platform is called Ascended Lightworkers. What does ascension mean to you?
Ascension sounds something, again, I would say very spiritual and very, something far away, but translated in very daily terms, I would say simply raising our level of consciousness, becoming more conscious on our daily lives, the daily life, from how we speak, think, act, and everything we do, but also embracing the divinity we have within us. Not just, we believe that life is everything that we perceive with our 5 senses. We get stuck in our physical limitations, and I would say it is realizing that we are so much more than what we perceive with our 5 senses, from what we see. We are so much more than that, and it's highly connected with raising our consciousness about our true nature. This is what I would say.
And do you have any final thoughts or advice that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yeah, it's something I shared already, but honestly, we live in such amazing times. I feel so blessed living in that times, that we are given so much access to information and wisdom that it was never accessible before. That information that we have now access, before it was just for the elite, and some people, that they kept this very, very for themselves, but now we really have access to that. And again, in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. We are so much more than we think, or we are so much more than they taught us. And as you said before, everything is the same thing in the end. And all great masters and teachers, from Buddha to Jesus to Krishna, everybody came here to give the same message, and that's it. We are all divine, and we don't really need any middle agents. We don't need the church, we don't need the gurus. The kingdom of God is within you. This is what Jesus said. So we are all that powerful. So this is what I would say.
Thank you so much. Smaragda, I want to thank you for being part of the Ascended Lightworkers platform and for coming today to the podcast to have this discussion. And of course, I really appreciate you for everything that you do, and for really giving all this wisdom and helping people through breathwork and through coaching to find their own light within. So you can find Smaragda on the Ascended Lightworkers platform. I'll put the link below, and you can work with her in a breathwork session and transformational coaching. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And until next time, my friends, keep spreading your light. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.